Welcome back to the double leg. I'm one half of the show, Hey Jive Picks, the other half of the show, the Parlay. Joining me in to break down some UFC Vegas 69. We started off hot. The prelims were cooking, and then everything went downhill in the main card. Not quite everything, but once we hit the Will Knight fight, just seemed like it took everything out of the fans, the bettors, and most just general viewers. That was a terrible fight. And a couple fights after that were kind of snoozers, Jamal Pogues and the Zach Pauga fight. And then a good performance by the young gun Aaron Blanchfield in the main event, getting the sub in the second round. And yeah, that's the quick recap, but we're going to go over every fight here. Overall, I was down 2 units, had everything on the line in the main event, and Jessica Andrade let me down. But we went like 9-1 on the prelims, started off super hot, and then lost the Hernandez inside the distance. Jim Miller is just too damn durable. Willie Knight didn't even perform. I thought a little sprinkle on Parisian as the dog was a good bet. It looked closer than what the judges gave it, in my opinion. And then Andrade let me down. But for the prelims, Carpenter inside the distance, Fletcher inside the distance, Fletcher in round 1 or 2, Felipe Lins by KO, Sadykhov, Felipe Lins, parlay, and there's a couple more in there that I'm forgetting. But yeah, we killed the prelims. How'd it go for you?
Oh, dude, the prelims were fun last night. I mean, like you went 9-1 on the prelims. I think I was 5-1 or 4-1 to start the night. Just cooking from the beginning. First fight, I had Clayton Carpenter inside the distance and Clayton Carpenter sub at plus 260. Those things hit. So that was a great start to the night. Felipe Lins was my biggest play of the night, just because I love fading the older fighters in the UFC who are fighting younger guys who are quicker, faster, stronger, more durable, less damage in their career. And it worked out again. I faded Shogun Hua, I faded OSP, and Felipe Lins looked good. And, that thing was over when it started. So, yeah, the prelims, man, started off super hot. And like you in the William Knight fight, I liked William Knight just for that power. And Prachnio gets hit and he gets wobbled. And, but you have to throw punches and you have to throw kicks to give yourself a chance to win. And William Knight did zero of any of that. And Prachnio won the fight just based off kicking his leg for 3 rounds. So that was just frustrating to watch. And then on the main card, or on the prelim still, I had Evan Elder. I had him as an underdog. He was up on the judges' scorecards in round 3. If that thing goes to decision, he wins the fight. Doctor stops it through the cut was disgustingly nasty. It deserved to be stopped. That's kind of like the bad beat of MMA. Your fighter's winning, and then he gets cut, and you lose the fight that way. So that sucked because that would have put us, way in the green to start the night. Other than that, I feel like I made a ton of good plays and a ton of good picks, good props. I had 2 3-leg parlays. One went 2 out of 3. I put Askhabov in there because I didn't like him on the money line, but I did want him in a little parlay. And then I hit another parlay with Pauga, Bueno, Silva, and Clayton Carpenter. That thing hit easily. So yeah, we hit a ton of plays last night. Just lost some key ones there at the end.
Yeah, and if you're new here, leave a subscription and a comment down below to support the channel. And if you want to get in on the premium plays, the full package, all you need to know about the UFC card every week, $19.99 for 30 days. That's less than $1 a day. Gets you everything you need to know there. Without any further ado, we will get into the card, starting with the main event, Jessica Andrade getting subbed in round 2, Aaron Blanchfield. I think we both wanted to back the experience here and kind of see how Aaron Blanchfield would do with a more experienced, higher level fighter compared to what she's fought in the past. And she passed the test. And that's pretty much all I got to say. She looked really good on the feet, which I didn't think many people saw coming. And once she got her to the ground, snatched up that rear naked choke really quick. Andrade was able to stuff the first couple takedowns, but once she got that one, it was over. Like she had it right there. So yeah, that's about all I got to say on that one.
Yeah, on this fight, you weren't really gambling on who's the better fighter because both fighters are great. you're kind of gambling on, is Jessica Andrade going to be ready on short notice after, beating Lauren Murphy up severely, having hand, injuries? Is she going to be ready for Erin Blanchfield in this short of time? And on the other side, is Erin Blanchfield going to be ready to step up in competition this big and take on Andrade? And honestly, from the fight, from the first exchange, Andrade just did not look like the Jessica Andrade we've seen lately. She was slower. Her head movement wasn't really there. I mean, Erin Blanchfield's not a, top tier, top of the division type striker. But when you don't move your head well, these girls that are climbing the ranks and who are good all around fighters like Blanchfield are going to find the chin. So she looked good on the feet. She kind of showed, in my opinion, anybody who goes in there and strikes with Andrade and finds success is obviously making improvements and becoming a good striker. And I think that's exactly what Erin Blanchfield's doing, and putting together good combinations and being able to strike with Jessica Andrade just makes her extremely dangerous for everybody in the division, because we all know she's got the wrestling. We all know she's got the sick jiu-jitsu game. So you throw in some striking in there, and all of a sudden, Erin Blanchfield is a problem for everybody in the division, including the champ.
Yeah, and I wouldn't doubt she gets the next title shot after beating Andrade like that. She was scheduled to fight Tyler Santos until Santos pulled out. But I rewatched that Valentina and Santos fight. I would have loved to see Santos and Blanchfield get in the ring together, get in the octagon together to see whose grappling is better, because Santos gave Valentina the work on the ground. And looking forward to that next title shot. If Blanchfield does get to fight Valentina, she's probably going to be able to expose that. So
scary thing about Blanchfield is that, dude, she wants it bad. Like, she wants to be the best bad. And when you have those kind of skills and you're willing to do whatever it takes to become the best, like, she's going to be a girl. Maybe, I mean, we see it, we say it all the time. Like, can this be the one to beat somebody like Valentina, or can this be the fighter to beat John Jones, for example? But Erin Blanchfield's starting to look more and more like a fighter that's going to give Valentina all she wants. I can't wait to see it. That's got to be next. I mean, you beat Andrade, who's been, beating her opponents senseless, standing triangles, just, running through girls. So, I don't know why you wouldn't just throw Blanchfield at Valentina. I mean, especially in that division where not a ton is happening very often at the top.
Yeah.
Some new blood in there, I think, is exactly what that division needs. I think it'll be a good one too.
Yeah, it's probably coming at the right time there too, because Valentina, eventually she's got to, fall off. She's almost 35, 36, somewhere on there.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's going to be about time for her. Jordan Wright, Zach Pauga. This one was, I mean, look at the total strike numbers, like, just doesn't tell the story. Jordan Wright getting almost 200 total strikes, but really, he didn't really win around, in my opinion. Zach Pauga just got him up against the cage, said, I'm not even going to allow you to throw anything. Just going to hold you up against the cage. Stick my head in your neck. And Jordan Wright didn't do much to get out of it. He just wanted to sit there and tap his face with his fist. And that's not going to get you a win. So kind of frustrating to watch. Obviously, everyone was on the under because it's a Jordan Wright fight. First time Jordan Wright's ever been to a decision.
Ever been to the third round?
Yeah, ever been to the third round too. And yeah, that was the second leg of my parlay that I needed to cash, was the under 2.5 rounds. So I thought, after cashing the first one, I felt pretty good about it. But Jordan Wright and Zach Pauga had different stories to tell there. So that was a tough one to watch, frustrating one to watch, because even when Pauga wasn't even on him, like, Jordan Wright wasn't fighting how he normally does, if I'm being honest. Like, it looked like it was his last fight on his contract. It didn't even look like he really cared. Like, to be honest,
right?
It's just weird, but yeah, decent win for Zach Pauga. I guess he showed a difference in his game from the heavyweight fight, more of a muscly, pin you up against the fence and put his weight on you, use his strength, which probably won't get you to the top, but it'll get you some wins in the light heavyweight division. So those are my thoughts.
Yeah, I think what happened last night in that fight is both guys were, scared to get that second loss, or not for Jordan Wright, not second loss, but both guys were scared to take a loss because it's kind of do or die time for both. Jordan Wright hasn't had the best success in the UFC. He's kind of, like you said, last fight on your contract. If you take a loss by knockout, that's not good at all. You're probably not coming back. And Zach Pauga, gets KO'd by Usman really bad in his first UFC debut fight. So if you go out there and get KO'd against a capable guy like Jordan Wright, that looks bad as well. So I think both guys just tried to play it safe, and that's how we ended up getting that fight, which was super frustrating because I think Zach Pauga had kind of a fork in the road. All right, do I go out there and do I try to impress the UFC and get a big knockout, and then my hype comes back a little bit. A lot of people start believing in me again. Or do I go out there and I just find a win and move on with my career? And it looks like he chose the safe route. Super frustrating if you're a bettor and you're taking him by knockout, or if you're taking the under like you had, because you don't expect that against two guys who are good strikers. A guy like Jordan Wright, who either gets knocked out or knocks somebody out, usually in the first round or at the beginning of the second round. And so you watch those two go to the decision. It's just super frustrating. And in the third, I know Jordan Wright took a nasty elbow, sliced him straight open.
Yeah.
So the knockout was still live in that third. But those first two rounds where you expected all the action, we just didn't get it. And it was super frustrating to watch. I don't think, even though Pauga, I know a lot of people were fans of him on The Ultimate Fighter. They liked his style. He's good. Coming back, yeah, he got the win, but I don't think his stock goes up too much after last night at all.
No. And frustrating to watch as a bettor, but as a viewer, I can put my emotions aside and say that was probably the right game plan for Zach Pauga to get a win, to ensure a win. His best chance to get a victory. That was probably what he needed to do. So,
yep, 100%.
Can't knock him for that. Josh Parisian, Jamal Pogues. I really wish I didn't even watch this one, to be honest. This is like the lowest of low level heavyweights. I'll just say it, like, the heavyweight division sucks. Like, they keep bringing these guys in off like Contender Series, or like just literally bodies. Like, if you're a 250 pounder decent at MMA, you'll probably get a UFC contract eventually, because these guys in the heavyweight division, outside of the top like 7, 8, I would say probably outside the top 12, but you could even go as far as 8. They're not good. They're not good. Like, anybody has a chance to win any night. That's why I put the underdog there at plus 225. Parisian has just terrible takedown defense. His movement is so slow. I get it. They're probably tired and everything. Jamal Pogues has decent takedowns. But yeah, it was just tough to watch. Just very tough to watch. When you get spoiled with heavyweight fights like we're going to get in a couple weeks here, and then you have to watch this on like a main card. Like, even last week with Justin Tafa and Parker Porter, like, those two guys, this isn't like a main card fight. I hate that they keep sticking these guys on main card fights of even a pay-per-view or a fight night. It just doesn't, I don't like it. I just don't like it at all. You could put one of these guys that you could build up that actually have talent, like a Sadykhov Elder, on a main card of a fight night. Like, just do that. Just do that. Like, there's such a higher ceiling. You could even put Askhabov. He's the new guy, 23-0.
OSP, who's been around forever.
OSP had the little name value there, and even Felipe Lins has a little name value as the PFL champ. So, it's just like frustrating to watch. I don't really understand any of the card placement with these fights. But I'm just getting tired of these low-level heavyweights getting stuck so high up on the cards. Like, they don't deserve it at all. Like, they're just getting that because they're big. There's a chance that there could be a knockout. Like, give it to the guys that actually have a higher ceiling in the UFC. That's my take on it.
Dude, here's the problem with this is the big thing that COVID has changed about the UFC, is that before COVID, every show, every Saturday was live in front of fans, so they had to sell tickets. Now they're in the Apex. They only got to sell 200 tickets, and it's a VIP experience where you get a bunch of other shit. So, people are going to buy them regardless of who's fighting. And so now they don't have to, they got the ESPN deal. They don't have to sell tickets and do big numbers on TV and all of this stuff. They're set with this ESPN deal. And therefore, they'll make these big pay-per-views once a month. And then your fight night cards are going to be, main events that are just somewhat decent fights. I mean, Cheeto Vera and Sandhagen was supposed to be the main event. And, that gets pushed to San Antonio, which is a good move by the UFC. But hopefully they get away from this Apex thing. And half of me wants to believe that they're not going to, because they don't need to do big numbers for these fight night cards anymore with the ESPN deal. But yeah, I mean, if you think back, man, I can't remember the UFC before COVID ever putting on this low level of, cards. And I think through Contender Series and all of this stuff, they're bringing in more and more fighters too as the years goes on. Like there's so many guys outside the top 50 now in each division, it seems like, to where they're going to throw a Jamal Pogues on the main event on these Apex cards, and guys Jamal Pogues has never fought in the UFC, and he's in the 3 slot, 4 slot. It's like, and you got OSP on the prelims in the second fight of the night, third fight of the night. It's like, what are we doing? But yeah, so hopefully the UFC goes back to live shows every single Saturday, because we'll start seeing better cards. Yeah. And the evidence is the UFC has announced crazy fights that are going to happen this year, but there's no, they don't announce any fight night cards. They don't announce, or they don't put any of these big fights on fight night cards in the main event. It's all going to be co-main, stuff like that. So yeah, the UFC, these Apex fight night cards have just been lacking big time since COVID.
Yeah, and Jamal Pogues is essentially a failed light heavyweight. Like,
yeah.
He used to fight at light heavyweight, and he probably saw a better path to get to the UFC at heavyweight.
Right.
That tells you something. Like, if you're a light heavyweight and you're pretty talented, you might want to just start eating more, and you might get a shot in the UFC.
Yep.
Yeah, this one, we'll probably have to go in on this one too a little bit. Willie Knight landing 8 total significant strikes, 0 to the head. Marcin Prachnio landing 63 leg kicks. I'll let you go first.
I had so many people online telling me, like, William Knight was a terrible bet. And yeah, in hindsight, definitely it was a terrible bet. But you also don't expect any fighter you bet on to go in there and only not land a single head strike over a 3-round fight. I know if he went in there and got flatlined, I'd have been so much better with it. Like, if he just goes in there and gets knocked out in 10 seconds, I can live with that. But I can't live with having a guy in there he was a punching bag, like a literal punching bag all night long. Those like little mannequin guys that sit there, don't have any arms, and guys beat up in the gyms. Like, that's William Knight last night. It took over 60 leg kicks, most leg kicks ever in a 3-round fight, and every single one of them landed. Not every single one of them, but he didn't check any. He didn't. I don't know, man. I'm still chuckling about it. I just can't believe what I saw out of a guy like William Knight, who, if the bell rings and William Knight just runs across the octagon, fucking Prachnio is going to take a step back. You see William Knight running across the octagon to fight you, you're probably going to turtle up against the cage and just hope the ref jumps in. But William Knight just put his chin back in the air, took a few steps back, and said, "Here, kick my legs. I don't feel like being here tonight." Dude, so weird. I've never seen that. I mean, I have seen people not throw punches. Yoel Romero, that fight that everybody dogged on, Carla and Rose. But this was just Prachnio throwing leg kicks, William Knight not throwing anything. I mean, it wasn't even Prachnio throwing combinations or big power punches. It was just leg kicks. And it was William Knight backing up and turning away from him and, getting his leg chewed up. That's all it was. And William Knight had chances to counter. William Knight had chances to just throw an overhand and hope it lands and try to find a knockout, but he didn't. I mean, he was so worried about the leg kicks. I think he was probably in so much pain that he was just sitting in the corner until the fight ended. That's all he was doing. And it was terrible. Awful. He'll probably get cut.
Yeah, I mean, last week we had the Tyson Pedro thing where he was, more than a 2-1 favorite, goes into the fight with an injury or some kind of health issue. And really doesn't look himself. You can tell when you're just watching the fight, like something's off here. But at least he tried. He almost had a submission in round 1. And then after that, I think he was just like, I got no chance here. Loses pretty much all 3 rounds, which is frustrating when a guy goes in there with an injury, but I can accept it. If you need the money or if there's, some reason, if you need to pay your coaches or something like that, that you just go in there and take the loss. It's frustrating, but I can live with it. And then you get this weekend, Willie Knight goes in there and wasn't hurt at all. Didn't go in with any injuries. His last fight was like 8 months ago, and he weighed in at 250 some pounds, cuts all the way down to 205. Looks like he's in the best shape of his life. So he probably put in months of work to get his body right, to get to that fight, to make the weight and get in there in the octagon in great condition, and just refuses to fight. And it was just so frustrating to watch. I just kept thinking, like, when is he going to turn it on? Like, when is he just trying to lure him in and then, then attack him, lure him in and then get a takedown or something. Prachnio was pretty disciplined in staying at kicking range. But he just never went. And I couldn't believe what I was watching because, I get maybe like first round, you go out there and try to feel him out and you don't really get to land anything and you go back to your corner. Your corner tells you, okay, you're going to have to like let it loose here. And his corner was telling him to let it loose. And he just went out there the next 2 rounds after that and did nothing. He just stood there and took kicks. So then I go on TikTok and, give my spiel on it, how this was a pretty suspect fight and everything. And it really looked like Willie Knight didn't try. And it looked like he was purposely not trying. It didn't even look like he faked trying. Like you could go out there and like kind of fake it, move around, not take as much damage or anything. But he was literally just standing there taking shots, not even moving, just back up against the fence. Prachnio was just, bouncing around, chopping away at him. Willie Knight's doing nothing. So yeah, I give my little spiel on TikTok, and then you get the comments of people saying, nah, he's just that bad. Or like, just the leg kicks got to him. Like he just couldn't move anymore. Well, like, if you watch the fight, he was acting the same way from the start to the finish. It didn't look like he was ever wanted to be in it. It's not even that he was that bad. He just clearly didn't try. And yeah, maybe the leg kicks got to him in round 3 or maybe round 2, but he literally wasn't even trying to get away from the leg kicks. He was just lifting his leg up and taking them. Very frustrating. And then he goes on his Instagram after and gives a little spiel saying that he like froze up, and that, the hate is warranted and he's owning it. I'm like, how does that happen? How does that ever happen? Like, I hate to like bash on the guy, but if you go out there and you have a terrible performance, it's one thing to go out there and have a terrible performance. It's another thing to go out there and not try. Like, those are 2 completely different things. If you go out there and just clearly don't try, or in your case, you say you froze up, I'm sorry, but you deserve to get backlash. Like, you're a professional athlete. You put in months of work, and you're going to say you go into that fight, you go into that cage with no fans around you, and you freeze up for 3 rounds. You go back to your corner. Your coaches are yelling at you in your face to go do something. You say, I got you. He literally said, I got you. I'll go out there and do something. Went out there and didn't do anything. Sorry, but you deserve it. You deserve everything that comes to you. Now, I don't condone, telling him to like off himself or anything like that. That's just stupid. That's pretty, if you ever say anything like that, or even if you just leave him negative comments, like, it's just not even worth your time. But you still deserve to get ridiculed for it because it's a bad performance. If say we have a bad pick or something, I'll own it. I'll own the pick. We have a bad pick. I'll own the pick. But I mean, 3 straight losses for him. Terrible performance. Not even a performance. I can't even call it that. But yeah, it's just, I mean, it's your what? 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a 7th fight in the UFC. You don't just freeze up against Marcin Prachnio. Like, this guy is as low as level as it comes in your division. You were a favorite. It's not even like you're going in there facing some Goliath. and the odds are stacked against you. You went in there as a favorite. You're supposed to win this fight. It's a smaller cage. You bench press 500 pounds. You squat like 700 pounds. Like, do something, bro. Do something. That's my spiel.
Yeah. Dude, here's the best like analogy I can think of. Let's say you're playing a basketball game and you get down 10 points and you need to come back and try to tie the game or go ahead, and you just hold the ball for 4 quarters. You don't even try, you just stall and hold the ball. I mean, that's what it looked like. It looked like he was getting down on the scorecards and just wanted to try to ride it out till the end of the fight without trying to do anything offensive. And I mean, it's exactly what he did, I guess. I don't know. I'm still just at a loss. I can't wrap my head around what was going through his head. I mean, there's times we've seen fighters that are clearly losing, but they're fighting and throwing offense, and somehow in their mind they think they're winning, so they coast in the last round. They don't go for a finish. They don't do anything. Like, I can understand some fighters may think I'm up 2 rounds when they're really losing. So I'm just going to coast and try to get this decision. And they come back and lose 30-27. This was, I mean, in nobody's right mind, not in his mind, his corner's mind, anybody across the world. There's not one single person who thought, oh, William Knight's winning this fight. If he just makes it to the 3rd round or to the judges' scorecards, he's going to win. I mean, there was none of that. This is just asinine, dude. I don't know. I can't wrap my head around it. It's crazy. It really is.
Yeah, last thing I'll say is I don't know how they don't, with everything that's been going on within the betting space and UFC fighters and what we saw a couple months ago, I don't know how they don't at least look into this. Like, it took them what, 2 or 3 weeks to like start into the investigation for the Derek Minner thing.
Yeah.
I think you have to look into it in some fashion. Like,
check the bank accounts. Got to.
You got to look into it in some way, because that just doesn't happen. That just clearly does not happen. Yeah, just very weird. But
yeah,
that's it. We'll let Willie off the hook now. Jim Miller and Alex Hernandez. This was it sucked. Even last thing on Willie, like, he just killed the whole mood. Like, that fight with Jim Miller and Alexander Hernandez was a great fight. Like, probably one of the best fights of the night, other than the fight we'll talk about after this. But Jim Miller going out there, I will say he looked a lot older with that long hair and that beard. He did really fucking old.
Yeah.
But it was just clear to me that Hernandez is better at this point in their careers. And that's why I liked him. I just didn't account for Jim Miller's durability. Like, the guy is just super durable. And Hernandez went out there and fought a good game plan, so he didn't blow his gas tank, which was a concern. But I thought on short notice, he might go after it in the first round or two, depending on how confident he was in his cardio. Maybe he didn't think he would even be able to go 3 rounds if he just fought the game plan he had, but he did. And put on a good performance. I know a lot of people were saying Jim Miller won round 1 and round 3. I'm like, bro, come on. Like, you can't say that. I'm sorry, but you can't say that.
No.
In my opinion, a clear 27 or 30-27 for Alex Hernandez. I don't know. Maybe you could give round 1 to him, but
yeah, but third, I mean, he had a good last minute of the 3rd round because he got on top. That's it.
Right. But I will say I was clenching my butt cheeks there at the end of the 3rd round, because I did have him in a parlay.
Yeah.
With Carpenter, so I still got the cash out there. But yeah, good performance for Hernandez. Jim Miller, you got to take some time off after that one, man. You kind of took a beat. And I don't want to see you come out here and start losing your chin, because you're still durable at like 40 years old.
Yeah.
And I want to see you around for UFC 30. So take some time off, bro. Take some time off.
Yeah. No, it was a good fight. And Hernandez, like you said, perfect game plan. He didn't try to do too much like he usually does. Like, he just stayed within himself last night. And that's exactly what gets him in trouble, is when he, gets a little wild, chases these big finishes in fights. He ends up getting clipped or runs out of gas and he's tired in the last few rounds. And these veterans just take advantage of that, which was what I was scared for that last night. I thought Hernandez has something to prove. He's going to come out and blow his gas tank. And then Jim Miller is just going to grind it out and maybe find a late sub. So I took Jim Miller by 3rd round submission. And god damn, was he close in that last minute. I mean, if he's 6 inches just adjusted to the back of Hernandez, he locks that submission in all day. Or if he had, let's say he has, another 3 minutes to work, he might find a submission there. So that was really close. That was plus 2,600. Would have been massive. But yeah, good on Alexander Hernandez. He needed the win because he's had some bad losses in his career after being such a promising prospect. But Jim Miller, man, hats off for being that tough for that many fights in the UFC. I mean, he looks a tad slower than his opponents in there, but that's just the age. But outside of the age and that, like, the dude can hang with guys in the division. I mean, he was on a 3-fight win streak before this, and he wants to fight like 4 or 5 more fights apparently. So we'll see what happens. But it was a good fight for sure. And congrats to Alexander Hernandez. Needed that win, got that win. Overall, yeah, one of the good fights on the main card for sure.
Yeah, good fight there. Another good fight here. We talked a little bit about it earlier.
Oh yeah,
Sadykhov and Evan Elder. Elder up on the scorecards for both rounds on every judge's scorecard. So he was up 2018 going into the third. Sadykhov lands that like kick knee. I think the knee landed on the eye up here, or the eyebrow up here. Split it like super deep. Like that cut was down in there. Like I saw the picture after, and it looked like another like eyeball. Like it was that deep, which a good stoppage. But overall, Evan Elder was definitely the play. I will say he was plus 160, 170, somewhere around there. I think Sadykhov closed at like minus 200 or minus 190, somewhere around there. But yeah, Sadykhov as a favorite moving forward, if it's not low level, like Evan Elder, is a pretty close matchup between the two. Evan Elder could do something in the lightweight division. Unless it's like super low level, I would not feel confident taking Sadykhov as a favorite because he leaves himself open in a lot of ways. And he just fights like a brawler, basically, which will help him in some cases and will leave himself open to getting cracked in a lot of places. His chin has held up, though. I will say that. He doesn't get knocked out cold, but he gets hit flush quite a bit. Evan Elder looks really crisp on the feet. I'll say that. And neither guy really wanted to take it to the ground too much, but a fun fight, though. I mean, they landed a lot of strikes in just 10 minutes, really.
Yeah, no, I was on Evan Elder money line because I thought that Sadykhov, UFC debut, he's a striker. Maybe he gets a little overzealous and, kind of gasses towards the end of the fight. But dude, it sucks so bad because he was like, I think he was plus 180-ish on the money line for Evan Elder. And he was up on the judges' scorecards going into that third round, gets a nasty cut. So I think if it wasn't for the cut, that thing sees the judge's decision, and we cash a big underdog, which would have been huge for the plays. I mean, that would have put us in the green on the night automatically. Would have been in the profit automatically. We ended in the profit, just not as much as we should have, considering what happened last night. But yeah, man, good for Evan Elder getting that 50 grand bonus. I don't know if you saw that video. He's in his hotel room, and his buddy comes in and tells him like, yo, you just won 50 grand. And he couldn't believe it. He starts, choking up and tearing up. So yeah, it was pretty cool. Good to see. I'm glad he got that because he fought his ass off. And you always hate, as a bettor, as a fan, you always hate seeing fights end by a cut or something like that. You want to see the guys, go out on their shield and finish what they started. So that kind of sucked. But overall, great fight. I loved every bit of it.
Would you take that bad of a cut for 50 grand?
Yeah, I'd take that bad of a cut for 10 grand.
10 grand. Can't blame it. Bueno Silva and Lena Lansberg. How about Lena Lansberg giving a layup to the girl Miranda Bueno Silva at the end of the round 2? Gets up on her feet and decides, I'm going to engage with the submission specialist here, but Bueno Silva on the ground, and I'll give her my knee. I'll do that. 15 seconds left on the clock. She's got to tap out. So kind of handed her that one.
For
looks
sure.
like Bueno Silva was going to win either way. but worked out for you. Cash your under. So
Yep,
all I gotta say.
under 2.5 and Bueno Silva by sub, which wasn't an official play, but it was one I played. I just didn't have a lot of confidence since Lena has never been submitted, so I didn't want to give that one out to the premium groups. And it was a last minute, like 5 seconds before the fight started type deal, but made me a little bit nervous because if it didn't get stopped there, if she didn't find that sub, then you're really rolling the dice going into the third round, trying to get a submission or a stoppage in the first 2 minutes and 30 seconds of the third round. But yeah, man, right when she grabbed that knee, Lena was in a position to where she's either gonna keep her hands locked and knee bent and fight it off for 15 seconds, but right when that comes ungrasped and the leg is all Bueno Silva's, it's just a matter of time, unless you want your, hamstrings and knee just absolutely decapitated.
Yeah.
So yeah, that hit, that was a plus money play. The submission was like plus 260 or 250 or somewhere around there. So yeah, that was a good fight for me. I like that one.
Knee bars are one of the worst things to watch.
Oh yeah,
in my opinion. I just hate watching those. Jamal Emmers getting the dub against Hussein Askhabov, undefeated no mo. Somebody's always got to go, and it is Hussein's and he didn't look good. He didn't look good at all. Jamal Emmers 30-27 on all the judges' scorecards, and definitely deserved it. Was better on the feet, was better on the ground, better everywhere the fight went. And it looked like Askhabov had never fought that kind of competition. Once he wasn't able to do what he had normally done to all of his past 23 opponents, looked like he was like, I just don't know what to do here. Looked like he got a little bit tired too. Probably hasn't been to – he's been to decision a couple times, but he probably was able to be on the offense on all those fights. And being on the defense and getting your ass kicked is a little bit different. You don't have quite as much cardio in that case. So, yeah, it's a good win for Jamal Emmers. It was a no play for me. Well, technically, I put out the fun parlay on my TikTok and had Askhabov as the last leg, and after Lynn's and Carpenter cash, so I ended up hedging out of that after the first round because I saw how bad Askhabov looked, and I was like, yeah, I want out of this. So I hedged out on Jamal Emmers. So no harm, no foul there. But yeah, that's all I got to say on that one. Good win for Emmers. So
yeah, for sure, dude. I was telling you before this, I had Emmers on my card all the way up until the day before the fight, and I just thought that Askhabov, I guess I looked too hard into his wrestling was going to be way better, and he was going to use that to get the win, and he didn't really. I mean, he couldn't get the takedowns. He stopped shooting takedowns. His striking looked pretty elementary for the UFC level, honestly. I mean, he landed some good shots, but dude, he's gonna if fights stay on the feet with him at this level, he's gonna get picked apart. He's just not there yet. Obviously, I'm not gonna say it's a padded record because I hate when people say that because you really don't know. But I don't think the level of competition he has fought is anywhere near the UFC caliber guys, and it showed big time. I mean, Jamal Emmers 1-2 in the UFC so far, and he went out there and won easily. So that's looking back. It's a play I wish I would have stuck with Jamal Emmers. Askhabov, yeah, man, sucks for him because he has a lot of hype on his region of the world. He's got 4 million Instagram followers.
yeah,
for him going into the UFC and getting a big dominant win would have been phenomenal for his career, for his outside of the octagon stuff. It would have been great, and that's kind of what I was thinking. Maybe this kid's just gonna put it together, go out there, smash Jamal Emmers, and become this huge star. But yeah, obviously didn't happen. We live and learn and move on. Congrats to Jamal Emmers. You just, killed the hype train for him. Definitely not the game plan or the style I thought he was going to come out with, but is what it is. Decent fight.
Yeah, something told me if this kid's got 4 million followers, undefeated, probably should have been in the UFC a long time ago if he was that good. So yeah, it just seemed a little fishy. That's why I held off for the most part there. OSP and Felipe Lins. This one was over very quick and a good cash for us. I had Felipe Lins by KO, and he made quick work of him, 49 seconds. OSP looked like he It looked like Felipe Lins didn't even respect OSP at all. And if you saw the clip of OSP hitting pads warming up in the back, it looked like he wasn't even going to go out there and try. Like it looked really. It's hard to respect that pad work. Let's just say that. And Felipe Lins looked like a beast. Looked like he could do something in the light heavyweight division. Kind of been up and down in his career, but maybe this is a new version for him. Looked like it could be a juice version for him. Some may say no allegations, but yeah, good win for Felipe. And we'll see. Who do they give him next? I mean, I don't even know.
Yeah, dude, it's kind of tough. He's fought Prachnio, I believe, already, so you're not going to fight a guy like that. Felipe Lins. Yeah, man, I don't know. I don't know who you give Felipe Lins. What's that?
Give him Willie Knight.
I don't think Willie Knight's getting any more offers in the UFC, if I'm being honest. But yeah, no, it was a good fight for him. I faded the hell out of OSP just because of the age, the damage he's taken in his career, how he's, what did he go to split decision with Shogun Rua? I mean, we saw what happened to Shogun Rua, in Brazil a month ago. So yeah, I mean, a guy like Felipe Lins, he had the youth on his side, the speed advantage. I thought he would come out and fight exactly like Tanner Boser did against him and just put the pressure on him, hit him with good shots, and he did. So yeah, maybe I don't know, to give him I don't even know who you give him. Who you give Felipe Lins, especially at 205. It's kind of dicey right now, but that was my biggest play of the night was Felipe Lins. So that was nice to hit. I just had tons of confidence in him going into the fight against an older OSP. So paid off big time. I like that one. Good start to the night.
Yeah, maybe that's why they didn't put him on the main card. He was going to get starched.
Yeah.
AJ Fletcher and Themba Gorimbo. This one was a little interesting. A little interesting to watch because Gorimbo had the 10-inch reach advantage. AJ Fletcher 0-2 in the UFC. They give him the newcomer here. And Themba really didn't use the range at all. I mean, he shot his own takedowns. And AJ Fletcher dealt with those limbs pretty well. I mean, you're watching him grapple with Themba Gorimbo. The limbs of Themba looked like they could be a big problem, but Fletcher handled them pretty well. Got him into mount. Looked like he was super patient in that first round when he was in mount, landing some good ground and pound and just making sure he stayed on top of him. And then in round 2, Gorimbo gets another takedown. Fletcher kind of reverses a little bit, gets in a scramble, snatches up the guillotine. And that's all she wrote. And a big win for AJ Fletcher because apparently he had $100 in his bank account. And he gets his show money and his win money. So he's not going to have to live off the ramen anymore. And he gets a little bit of spending money. So good win for him.
Yeah, for sure.
On his birthday too.
Yeah, exactly. He was a little. What did he make there? Someone said, was it you that talking about not giving him the bonus on his birthday? Yeah.
A little messed up. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah. But no, he needed that one big time. Guys like Gorimbo coming into the UFC from he's born in Zimbabwe, fights out of South Africa. It's like those guys kind of make you nervous because you have no idea what you're going to get with them, especially seeing a 10-inch reach advantage. That made me nervous. So I didn't play him on the money line. I couldn't get there as far as the -2 or 3, whatever he was. He's a big favorite. So I couldn't lay the money on him at that, just with all the unknowns about Gorimbo. But yeah, man, Fletcher looked good. Hit him with that elbow. I mean, super hard. I thought he was going to get the KO there in that round. Dropped him and immediately snatched up the guillotine. So he was destined for a finish there. Ended up getting it. Good for him on his birthday. Needed the win badly, and he capitalized. So good for AJ Fletcher.
Yeah, I thought he needed a win. Like he needed that win, and he had some opportunities to win his other fights too. He blew his load against Angelosa and didn't get finished, but lost the next couple of rounds after gassing out at altitude. And then the fight with Semmelsberger, I thought he had a great first round and then lost the next 2. But yeah, he needed that one. Clayton Carpenter, Juan Camillo, Ronderos. Ronderos showed pretty much everything that we doubted in him. And Clayton Carpenter made light work with him. Ronderos got the takedown early, though. I was like, this is interesting. Because I think Carpenter's a lot better grappler than him. He takes him to the ground, kind of survives for a little bit, gets a reversal, gets his back, throws the one arm in while Ronderos was trying to fight off the other arm, and that one arm was enough to get it done. So, yeah, good finish for Clayton Carpenter. It looked like the guy said he was either going to knock him out or sub him. He was going to whichever one that he said in his post-fight press conference or the Octagon interview or whatever. He's like, yeah, I was either going to sub him or knock him out. It was up to him if they wanted to take it to the ground or not. So he was pretty confident and got it done.
Yeah. No, this is the most perfect way to start my betting card. I had Clayton Carpenter by finish at -130, and then I also took him by submission at +260. So you win a unit on him to win by finish, and then you win. I only had a quarter, a half unit on him by submission, and that hits easily too. So man, that was just the perfect way. And then you go in and you know, I didn't have anything on AJ Fletcher besides Fletcher in a parlay, and then Felipe Lins wins you 2 units. I mean, it started off hot. All thanks to Clayton Carpenter kicking it off the right way. He's good, man. I think he's going to be a good prospect. I don't think you give him anybody like meaningful or like super good yet. I mean, that's only his 7th professional fight. So if he's looking that good at 7 fights in his pro career, I think he's a guy that, you know, once he gets 10, 11, 12 wins or fights, he could be good. He could be really good for the division. I'm interested to see him fight again, maybe against a guy a little bit better than Ronderos. But yeah, man, great way to start the card. I liked that one a lot.
Yeah, flyweight's not super deep either. He's only 26 years old, so it's just going to keep getting better. Shannon and I, MMA Lab. It's a good camp. That's it for the card. Overall, you know, it was started off good, like from a fan perspective. Even it started off good, couple finishes. I mean, the prelims, every fight was a finish, 5 out of 6, except for the Emmers fight. And then the main card started off hot and then went downhill from there. Good ending, though. Blanchfield, it's going to be a problem. And overall, glad this one's behind us, though, because we got one more fight night in the Apex, and then we got some great fight night cards and pay-per-view cards ahead of us in March. So we'll be back soon here with the breakdown for UFC Vegas 70, the 70th time in Vegas at the Apex. But until then, if you want to get in on the double leg premium, the link will be in the description down below. Drop a sub, drop a comment, letting us know how you like the card, what you're looking forward to. Drop a like if you enjoyed. And at the double leg on all the social medias, we'll be dropping the short form content on there and all the graphics, letting you know what's going on in the UFC. At HeyJPicks on the social medias for me. Where can they find you?
TikTok, you can find me at The Parlay, Instagram, The Parlay_media, and YouTube, The Parlay MMA.
All right, till then, double leg, signing off.